Sir, there were rumors recently saying that you were dead. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, that's true. I was actually dead for a little bit. The fake news actually said something true for a change. I don't know what the hell's happening to the fake news, but they're doing a terrific job. And I met God. Think of it. I met God, and He met me, more importantly, when you think about it. Look, I get along with God. I have a fantastic relationship with Him. I know so much about God, probably better than anybody. You know that, right, Steve? We had some fantastic conversations, and we're going to reveal a few things, make some important announcements in about 2 weeks, okay? Yeah. You have any questions? Please.
Sir, did God ask you as President of the United States to do something specific for him?
Well, they say that you should never actually reveal any conversation between you and Almighty God. But I don't think he's going to get too angry with this one, right, Steve? I said to him, I said, Sir, God, now I want to ask you a question. How have modern men become so pathetic? Why are testosterone levels plummeting, and who will save us? The answer to that, my friends, is an executive order that my administration will be signing immediately. We call it the High Tea 101 Executive Order, right? The perfect coffee table joke book. 101 satirical lessons to elevate testosterone for the modern man. Think of it. Under the Biden administration, you weren't even allowed to talk about testosterone unless it was in women's sports. When you think about it, we got that the hell out of women's sports. You weren't allowed to be a modern man. In fact, you weren't even allowed to be a man. But this is a perfect gift. This is a perfect joke book that's probably going to make you spit your coffee out. We don't want to see that, but we might. Perfect and the most wonderful, terrific illustrations right there. It's just fantastic when you think about it. This is a joke book the likes of which the world has never seen. And it's not politically correct, that I will say. So it's not for you if you're woke. But I really think you should purchase a copy by clicking on the link in the description below this video. And through this High Tea 101 joke book, we're going to make modern men men again. I said to him, I said, Sir, God, what do you want me to do for you? He said, you don't have to do anything different. You're doing such a fantastic, terrific job. You're doing God's work, he said. He said, when you think about it, you actually are God. And I was very honored by that. I really was. Right, Steve? But I said to him, and I will say, he also said, you're the first person ever to survive being dead. He said, nobody's ever been dead and then survived, so I thought that was very powerful too. I said, what do you want me to do for you, God? One thing. He said, the windmills. We gotta do something about those windmills. I said, what do you have against the windmills, God? He said, well, they're just so disgusting and they're so bad. They really are a horrible thing. I said, what else? He said, the birds and the bats. I said, what about them? He said, they're just killing all of them. And I created them in the fifth day. And I said, all right, we're going to do something about that. Let's make a deal. I said, we're going to make a deal. He said, will you call it the Big Biblical Bell? I said, that's a fantastic name. You should come and work for me, God. Yeah.
Sir, while you were up there in heaven with God, did you see anybody that you know, any politicians?
Well, I actually did see John McCain. He walked by, would you believe it? I said, hi, John. He was very nasty. I said, hi, John. He said, don't talk to me. I said, what's your problem, John? He said, I'm dead. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm dead. I said, well, you must be a loser and a coward because I prefer my politicians to be alive. Okay? All right, that's enough, everybody. Thank you very much.